Hello, welcome to Sephra's Pop Culture World. My name is Sephra, and this is my world, and today we're talking about the Ooh. I went to their concert last night. Oh my God, it was so good. How could it not be? It's the Who. Well, actually, I think I went to one that wasn't so good. Anyways, I was so happy with last night's show. Absolutely amazing here in Toronto on September the 3rd. The show was originally scheduled for June, but the day of the show, well, actually, a couple days before the show was supposed to happen, we have this basketball team here in Toronto. You may have heard a wee bit about, even if you're not a basketball fan. They are called the Raptors. And so the Raptors actually won the Gold Cup or whatever it is basketball people win. And on that weekend, and so the arena needed to be used for games and celebrations and all the that wonderful sporting stuff because we know rock arenas are sporting arenas. So then the concert was postponed until last night. So it was, a long wait. I bought the ticket on my birthday in January with some of my birthday money. And at the time, and still, money is very tight. And so I could only afford the cheapest ticket they had, and I was on the Ticketmaster pre-sale, so I managed to get a ticket before they went on general sale. And so, after service charges and all that jazz, my ticket turned out to be about $130. And so, with that, where the ticket is, it was in the third section, which is the highest section at Scotiabank Center, as it's now called. And then, so in that section, when I was picking seats, I could be like 3 rows in front of where I ended up. So I picked the seat that was against the back wall because I know I love to dance at Who concerts, or I like to dance anytime. I got itchy feet and itchy body. I like to rock and roll. And so I figured so since I knew the Who would be like this big and I wouldn't be able to see them, that I could dance the night away to my favorite band and not obstruct anyone's view or being told to sit down or get kicked out or all that, right? So I bought the ticket with my back to the wall. So then yesterday I saw online people were talking about how tickets had dropped in price because they're trying to sell tickets because a lot of people, since the show was changed from like beginning of summer to like first day of school, people couldn't go, this and that. People are trying to sell their tickets like crazy, and even the arena had dropped the price a bit, so I was kind of pissed that I saw some way better tickets than I had for the price I paid or less. But what can you do? Once you buy a ticket, it's non-refundable. So what? I buy another ticket that's closer, and then I've paid like $300 for a ticket, and then I could have just been on a floor seat. Or, you know what I mean? Just, ah. So anyway, um, before the Who last night, uh, amazing. I only discovered it the day of the show. I don't know why, I was in a coma, I guess, all summer or whatever. But Sun versus Moon opened for the Who, and I didn't realize, but that's Rain Maida's group with his wife, Chantal Kreviazuk. And Rain Maida is my second favorite singer in the universe next to Roger Daltrey. I've seen several Our Lady Peace concerts and even followed them to the States once when they played at an amusement park in New York State. I drove several hours and spent the day riding roller coasters and then saw the show and drove home. And so I was so stoked to see Rain Maida on the bill. So they came out and it was a great, Rain and Chantal doing their thing. It was the two of them, and then they had a quartet. I couldn't really see because they're this big, and I couldn't really see. And then they didn't have like the monitors going for their act, but they did a great job. And Rain sang one Our Lady Peace song, "Innocent." We are all innocent, and which is one of my favorite songs. And I even refer to it in one of my leisure novels. I believe it was in Borrowed Flesh, where we refer to that song. And I have referred to other Our Lady Peace songs in my work. We all know I refer to Who songs all the time, or I use, Can You See the Real Me as a title, or, you know, anyone who knows anything about my writing work knows I'm a huge Who fan because I try to reference them in almost everything I do. Anyway, so they did their thing, and then it's like, oh, I really need to get a T-shirt, and I figured it'd probably be about an hour between shows, maybe half an hour, whatever. But so the T-shirt line was insane, and so I was in it for over half an hour. But I got my T-shirt, and it has the you know dates on places and dates on the back. And then just when I got to my seat, The Who came out. Yay! So that was right at 8:30, and they just powered through till quarter to 11. Near the end, Pete was like, "Oh, we're getting told, our time's almost up. We have to get out of here," kind of thing. And I was laughing because I've done a lot of theater. I've been in a lot of shows, and there's this whole thing where 11 o'clock is when the unions go double if you're in the buildings. So I was thinking, yeah, even the Who have to run out before 11 so they don't have to pay those double union bills. Plus, I think there's an ordinance that all the rock bands have to end at 11. And so the Who, they came out and they went right into Tommy. I thought they were going to do more. I thought they were doing the whole Tommy for some reason, but they did about 45 minutes, which was fine, which is great. It doesn't matter to me. It's the Who. They can do whatever the hell they want. And it was fantastic. And they did the old orchestration version of the original Tommy album from '67. I love that, because there's a couple of different openings to Tommy. There's like the movie version, there's that version. I'm sure, I can't remember what the Broadway show has. I never saw it on Broadway, but Toronto, I saw it a couple times in Toronto, with different, one was the big um, show, like that one of the Mirvish theaters or wherever it was. And then I also saw a small community theater version of Tommy as well. Anyways, what's the song? Punk Meets the Godfather. They friggin' kicked that out of the park so hard. Oh, I was like just screaming with joy. And I really liked Townsend really, when they go, my, generation. And Townsend was really doing the generation, which I haven't heard him do in the last few shows, like really stutter it back how they used to stutter when they didn't actually play My Generation this time. I think I think I think it'd be kind of funny. They have played My Generation at the last couple of shows I've seen in recent years, so it's not like they don't play it, but they did an amazing selection last night. They played The Seeker, which is one of my favorite songs in the world, and well, all the Who's, I can't even pick a favorite Who song to be honest. They did a very slow, weird version of a Who Are You. I think they're so bored of that song they can't stand it anymore. It's- I like Roger Daltrey was almost tap dancing. Oh, I forgot to mention that to my son this morning, who's a tap dancer. But one of the highlights, I have to say, that happened to me, being who I am and all. Who am I? I don't know. Who are you? Was, as I mentioned, my seat, and I mentioned that for a reason. So they played Tommy about 45 minutes. Then they played about five or six more songs. Then they went into Imagine a Man. And after Tommy played, then I started stand. Then after Tommy, I stood up and danced because I figured I should stay seated for Tommy, so I didn't annoy the people around me who are trying to enjoy the story of Tommy. And then once they broke out into just hits, I stood up and started dancing because there were four empty seats beside me and then the wall behind me. So I just moved down from the dudes I was sitting beside and was just rocking out like I do. And I was like so high up. I had to make sure I didn't look down like this because I was getting dizzy. So I just would look at the band because otherwise the vertigo would set in and I probably would have fallen over the rails because it was super, super high. And so then during Imagine a Man, I went to the bathroom all that dancing, I had to pee, and it was an hour into the show by then. And on my way back, I whispered to the usher, who was a different usher than the original usher who had seated us. This was they'd changed guard or whatever. And I whispered to him, I said, can I go find a seat that isn't taken? Do you think, are we allowed to do that? I don't remember how I said it. I was too excited. And he said, "No, I'm sorry, ma'am. You have to stay in the seat at the ticket you're given." And I went, "Okay." So I went back to my seat and I was dancing. I danced two more songs and then the usher's going like this. And then me and the guys beside me are like, "Uh-oh, I'm in trouble now." And I'm like, "I'm standing at a Who concert." Because, oh, for those that don't know, for many, many years, you weren't allowed to stand up at all at a Who concert because they had that tragic incident in Cincinnati back when I was a teenager where people rushed the stage and several people died with the stage rushing. So then from then on, they had a rule that you can never stand at a Who concert. You have to, there's no, and that's also when concerts stopped having like the floor used to be open. There weren't seats, and you could just go and dance and party. And so they made it so that you have to stay in your assigned seat. There's no switching seats, and you have to sit down. You can't stand to dance, nothing. Although the last couple ones I've been to, I always get an aisle seat, and then and I always have nosebleed seats because I'm poor, so I just make sure I'm not blocking anyone, and I'll dance like the last couple songs in the encore or whatever, so that I'm not annoying people or being that asshole blocking everyone, right? So so I'm like, oh shit, I'm in trouble for dancing at a Who concert. And so I go over to the guy and he slips me a ticket. And he said, "Take this ticket. You go to that elevator, you go down," and then he's pointing, "and your seat's over there." And I'm like, "What?" And I'm like, "Thank you." I was in such shock. Like, I should have hugged him or kissed him or gave him $10 or I don't even know. Like, I was in such shock that this man was so kind to me. I didn't even know what to do with myself. I'm just like, Hassenpfeffer, Hassenpfeffer, Hassenpfeffer. I just didn't even know. So I get on the elevator and I'm holding this ticket, and the guy had driven me because I took the stairs most of the time, so I was getting tired. So the after intermission, when I bought my shirt, and then I took the elevator up, and I said to the guy, because I went on the elevator with a bunch of waiters with their trolleys, I said, "You know what? I've been a good girl. I took the stairs twice already. I'm taking the elevator this time." And he's laughing at me. So he probably remembered me because it was only, I'm a freak. And because then it was the same guy, and he's like, "Oh, Christmas came early," because I showed him my ticket. But I didn't say where I got it. I just said, "Where do I go?" And he said, "Yeah, you go down to the 100s." I'm like, "Really?" Because I couldn't believe it, right? And then so he goes, "Wow, Christmas came early." I'm like, "Yeah." I was just so stunned. I didn't know what was happening. And then so I went to my new seat, and it was over in the 100s, which was practically floors, and halfway back. So it was, I could see them. They were this big now. Yeah, I could see them with my eyes. And I was like, I started crying because that guy, it's little things like that that really, a little gesture like that made my day. I was already so happy I was at a Who concert and grateful to even be there. And then this kind earth angel gives me a ticket to get closer. And it just really, you go into these concerts not sure if people are bringing guns and if you're going to get shot and all that after the Ariana Grande fiasco in England. And, and you have to go through all this security to the concert, and you get a little worried because you hear about the United States and all these mass killings. And then to have something glorious like this happen to an old lady like me, I was so happy. And oh my God, mister, if you're ever seeing this video, thank you so much. I don't know, where he got the ticket or who he gave it to. I hope he doesn't get in trouble that I'm saying this. Um, What an amazing, amazing, wonderful gesture. And I know that, and this is how it is. Like there are always free tickets for people that know people. There are always people who help people, and we always have to remember that there are more good people in the world than bad. He didn't have to give me a ticket. He didn't have to do anything. He could have just went, sorry, ma'am, you can't go anywhere. And I would have and I was fine dancing in my seat because I already knew what my seat was when I picked it on the map back in January when I bought my ticket, you know? And so it wasn't like I have a shitty seat. I knew my seat was shitty. And, and he just made my day, and I'm practically crying again just thinking about it. And I know, there are horrible things happening in the world right now, but I am so grateful for this simple act of kindness of this one man who had an extra ticket, just giving it to me so I could see my favorite band in the universe a little closer for probably their last concert. And they were so good. They were so good. Roger's voice cracked. I could tell he was losing his voice a little bit near the end. For Love Reign O'er Me. And that's fine. You know what? He was swinging the mic. And Townshend did so many windmills, and there's so much energy. And then when I was closer and could see the monitors closer, I could see how Richard Starkey, is it Richard Starkey? I don't know. Ringo Starr's kid who plays the drums for The Who at every concert in the last 100 times I've seen them. He looks so much like Ringo. It's amazing. And just amazing musicians. The violinist, oh my God, she was so good. They had her featured a few times in a few songs, not just Bob O'Reilly, but a couple of other songs too. She was just doing it. She was so good. They had a full orchestra. It was amazing, absolutely amazing. If you can catch this tour, the Moving On tour, please go see it. The Who are top notch, top of their game. These guys rock and roll like no one else. I've never been disappointed at a Who concert, and I've been seeing the Who since I was a teenager. I've saw the Who with Keith Moon twice before Keith Moon sadly died in the 70s. And I have seen them several times since. I did miss many concerts when they came to Toronto because I couldn't afford tickets. But the last couple times they've come through, I've, made sure that I just don't do anything else so that I can afford this ticket. And it's worth it. It's worth it. And hey, if you actually have money and you can like pay $500 for a floor seat, do it. Because the Who aren't going to be here forever. I don't know if they're gonna stop touring. It's always their last tour. They're probably afraid they're gonna die. But they're not. They're younger than my dad, and my dad and my mom are both still very much alive, pushing 90. So maybe the Who will be rocking out till they're 90 as well. And yeah, so that was my experience last night at the Scotiabank Center, The Who, and Sun versus Moon, and fantastic, fantastic. I'm so happy. I'm so happy. Anyways, have you seen The Who on this most recent tour? What did you think? Did you enjoy the concert? How was it in your city? Let us know in the comments. Or if you have a video babbling on about your Who experience, put that link down there. I want to connect with other Who fans, okay? So have a fantastic day and we'll see you later.